All right, guys, so it's about time. It is about time somebody in BLM is being held accountable for fraud, okay? Because we all knew from the get-go that these organizations and also the chapters associated with this organization as well too are fraudulent, okay? That these people were raising money off the backs of mostly dead black men and then taking that money to enhance themselves. I think it was very, very clear that that is what is happening when you look at all the sketchy things going on with BLM and what they do with their money. Now, here's the thing. None of this stuff has been proven definitively, but we do have plenty of reasons to believe that there is some funny business going on with BLM and the people associated with this movement, mainly the founders and the leaders of this movement. For example, Patrisse Cullors, the Marxist BLM co-founder that went off and bought 3 or 4 houses and homes before retiring from the movement after people started to question how the world did she get the funds to buy these houses, okay? Because again, BLM is supposed to be a non-profit, and I think a lot of people want to ask questions unless there were actually questions about where the money was going. The actual chapters associated with BLM was saying, hey, we're not getting the money. The neighborhoods that were affected by so-called police brutality is like, we're not getting the money. Nobody was seeing the money, okay? In fact, there was 60, 70 plus $1 million missing that has been unaccounted for in donations to Black Lives Matter, right? And it had got so bad that states at one point took interest in BLM, as they had to recently freeze their donations because a lack of financial transparency, right? So there's been a whole lot of questions about BLM and their finances and just the lack of transparency there. And finally, somebody is being held accountable for this lack of transparency, and lo and behold, they're being charged with fraud, okay? Unfortunately, it is not the BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors, but it is a BLM leader. However, before we get in that, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you like my commentary, and you want to support my channel, you can do so using the links in the description below. You support the Patreon, you support the PayPal, you support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you would like to do so, including getting yourself one of my signature racist mugs, which is a daily reminder of the 2022 definition of racist according to the left, which is anybody who disagrees with the Democrat Party. So without further ado, let's take a look at this news clip that is going to tell us about a Boston BLM leader and her husband who have been arrested and charged with fraud after taking in over $1 million in donations and using those donations for their own personal gain. Take a look.
She's accused of using the charity's money for vacations and shopping trips. The Night Team's Jonathan Hall has the story.
On behalf of your
Legal troubles for one of the leaders of Boston's Black Lives Matter movement.
Why'd you do it, Monica?
41-year-old Monica Cannon Grant left the courthouse without saying a word after hearing she faces many decades in prison if convicted of fraud. But she has spoken out in the past.
Not one more. You don't get to kill not one more of us.
Cannon Grant now faces an 18-count federal indictment, alleging she committed fraud, stealing donations from the charity she founded, Violence in Boston. Her husband also implicated. The feds say they solicited more than $1 million in donations, then enriched themselves. Things like back rent on the couple's Boston apartment, a Maryland vacation, groceries, restaurant meals, Uber rides, and other expenses. The document says Cannon Grant and her husband went on a shopping spree at the Rentham outlets at stores like Polo, True Religion, and Timberland. The grand jury also found probable cause that the couple took CARES Act pandemic unemployment benefits, concealing the fact they were taking money from the nonprofit and other sources, including consulting fees. The indictment shows Cannon Grant texted her husband saying, "Unemployment caught my expletive." He allegedly responded, advising her on how to keep the benefits flowing. Cannon Grant's attorney released a statement saying, quote, "We are extremely disappointed the government rushed to judgment here. We remain fully confident Monica will be vindicated when a complete factual record emerges." The U.S. Attorney is Rachel Rollins. She will not be involved in the prosecution of this case. That's because a few years ago, when she was Suffolk DA, she issued a grant to Violence in Boston from Suffolk County using seized drug money. In South Boston, Jonathan Hall, 7 News 19.
The new coronavirus variant.
All right, guys, so nobody should be surprised to hear that, right? Nobody should be surprised to hear that one of these people that have grifted off the backs of dead black men are taking the donations and using it for their own personal gain. Okay, I mean, this is par for the course when it comes to these people. I don't trust any of these people, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you something. People want to talk about a grift. The biggest grift in 2020 was Black Lives Matter, was police brutality, okay? It is the idea that black people being killed indiscriminately in the streets by racist white police officers, right? And this person raised money off of that stuff, just like a whole bunch of people did, and used it for their own personal gain, okay? And in my opinion, I don't think it's a coincidence that they're a leader of Black Lives Matter, because I think that the whole organization and the people that associate with them are fraudulent, right? And I guarantee you, if this person's found guilty, she's going to get the Juicy Smollett treatment. Even if it's very, very clear that she's guilty, that's what it kind of looks like from those text messages, that, you know, she's basically admitted guilt in regards to the unemployment fraud. There are people that are still going to defend her. They're going to say this is a modern day lynching. Okay, is she going to get compared to Emmett Till, right? Are they going to say that she's being locked up just because of her race, because she's black? I guarantee you, you're going to have people that come out here and say that stuff, okay? But again, to me, in my opinion, I'm not surprised. Now, again, she's innocent until proven guilty, but I don't know, man. A text message saying that unemployment caught my butt seems to be an admission of guilt. But hey, who knows? Let's read here. A prominent Black Lives Matter leader in Boston and her husband have been charged with using a $6,000 grant to take at-risk youth to a Philadelphia retreat on themselves for a getaway to Maryland, restaurants, and shopping sprees, among other things. Monica Cannon Grant, 41, founder of the nonprofit Violence in Boston, and her husband, Clark Grant, 38, were charged Tuesday in an 18-count federal indictment, including charges for wire fraud and making false statements to a mortgage lending business. In June 2019, she was given a check for $6,000 for a trip to Philly to give these young men exposure to communities outside of the violence-riddled neighborhoods that they navigate daily, the Boston Globe reported. Instead, the couple used the money to take a vacation to Maryland, eat at Bubble Gump Shrimp Co., Shake Shack, and other eateries, and pay for car rentals, Walmart purchases, and visits to a nail salon, the feds allege. Okay, so again, it's messed up that you take money that's supposed to be used to take at-risk youth out of their communities and expose them to other things, right? It's supposed to be used for actual good purpose, for non-selfish purposes, but you take that money instead and you use it on yourself, and you go out and eat with it. And you're an idiot because you don't use cash to make these purchases so that it can't be tracked in regards to what you actually use the money for. You obviously use the credit card, right? Use a credit card where you can actually track where you spent the money at, right? And you out here eating Bubble Gump Shrimp off the back of donations that are supposed to go to kids. Again, it's messed up, man. You're just a bad person at this point, right? When you do stuff like this. The indictment charges them in connection with 3 separate schemes: defrauding donors, lying on a mortgage application, and illegally collecting about $100,000 in pandemic unemployment benefits, according to the Globe. Clark Grant had already been charged by the feds for allegedly engaging in pandemic assistance fraud after a raid at the couple's Tantum home last year, the news outlet reported. He was slapped with charges of illegally collecting unemployment benefits and making false statements on a mortgage application. On Tuesday, Cannon Grant was arrested at her home on charges the couple raised over $1 million in grants and donations for people in need, but took a significant amount of it for themselves, the Globe said. No surprises here. Again, that's the whole BLM Ponzi scheme. Okay, collect money off the backs of dead black people and use it for themselves. It's really that simple. They allegedly used some of the money to pay rent on their Boston apartment and to buy a car for a relative, officials said. When Violence in Boston was launched in 2017, it operated out of Cannon Grant's Roxbury home, but by 2020, the nonprofit had moved to a sprawling site in Hyde Park, according to the paper. It had amassed more than $50,000 in donations by April 2020, according to the feds. Prosecutors said that in October 2020, Cannon Grant began paying herself $2,788 a week, though she had reported to the IRS and the state attorney general's charity division that she received no salary, according to the Globe. On Tuesday, a judge released Cannon Grant on personal reconnaissance and told her she may continue to work her nonprofit, which runs a food pantry but cannot handle its finances. I don't know why the judge allowed that. This person seems to just be a bad person. I wouldn't allow her anywhere near a nonprofit. Okay, I don't allow her anywhere near a nonprofit. Candy Grant has proclaimed her innocence and declined to comment Tuesday outside the Boston Federal Courthouse. Her attorney, Robert Goldstein, said in a statement that we are extremely disappointed the government rushed to judgment here. Violence in Boston and Monica have been fully cooperating, and their production of records remains ongoing. Drawing conclusions from an incomplete factual record does not represent the fair and fully informed process a citizen deserves from its government, especially someone like Monica, who has worked tirelessly on the behalf of her community. Tirelessly in order to raise money for herself. That's what she's done. Okay, she worked for herself. Quote, we remain fully confident Monica will be vindicated when a complete factual record emerges, the lawyer added. The feds did not disclose how much of the nonprofit's money was diverted to the couple's private accounts. Candy Grant, who has been honored as a Bostonian of the Year and Boston Globe magazine and as Beantown's best social justice advocate by Boston Magazine, rose to prominence in 2020 after organizing a march to protest the killing of George Floyd and other black citizens at the hands of police. Donald Osgood, one of her many supporters, said the charges did not change his feelings. My opinion stands as I know her work, he told the Globe in an email. She has helped way too many people, and innocent until proven guilty is the American way. Yes, that is true. But all I'm saying is that when you got text messages that say, oops, unemployment caught my butt, I'm just saying that seems like an admission of guilt. It seems like the feds did their homework on this one, okay? They did their homework on this one. She has provided food, Ubers, hotels to many of the clients she served since doing this work. A lot of the things she's done for the community were out of pocket expenses and others chipping in. Let's see where this goes. I still have faith in her work, which she continues to do even under these circumstances, Osgood added. Suffolk District Attorney Kevin Hayden's spokesman, Jim Bergasani, told the Globe that this is a disturbing violation of the public trust and should not reflect on the organizations that use asset forfeiture funds for their intended purposes. Okay, so is this person guilty or not? I don't know. If I had to guess, they probably are. But regardless, I think nobody should be surprised to see this, right? Nobody should be surprised to see one of these people who, again, benefited from the biggest grift in history, which was BLM during 2020, taking that money and using it for themselves for their own personal gains. And at this point, like I said, you got to be a bad person in order to do something like this, right? Imagine raising money off of blood, sweat, and tears. Like literally blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, of people marching, of people dying, of people crying, and you take that money and then you go and you eat bubble gum shrimp and buy your relatives cars and do stuff like that. Okay, you take unemployment benefits illegally. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here that I think really it shows a pattern. Okay, it shows a pattern of this person just being a fraudulent individual. And at this point, you know, I want an investigation into all these guys. Anybody that's been leading BLM or that's raised a significant amount of money off of BLM, they need to be investigated, right? Feds should be looking into them to see, okay, are they actually using the money for the things they're supposed to be using the money for? Because I guarantee you, most of these individuals, a vast majority of the individuals are not, okay? That is why you got so many of these neighborhoods, these organizations, or whatever, that are coming out here and saying, I haven't seen any of this money. I haven't seen any of it. Nobody knows where the money went. So, it's not Patrice Cullors, right? But hey, it is a BLM leader that has been arrested and charged with fraud. So we will see where this goes. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.